How you doing today, folks? And welcome to RedWolf EDC. Now, today, as you can see by the thumbnail, I have something a little different for you. This is a Tomahawk. And I'm not even sure if you can see this on camera right now. The camera got kind of cracked recently, so it's sort of, upside down and like recording through a mirror, and like it's some janky shit right now. So I can't see what the camera sees, but hopefully this is working out well. This is a freaking big ass beautiful Tomahawk. So first off, as far as the actual sheath, we have a very solid retention system right here. So in order to get the Tomahawk out, you take this piece right here, you slide it, pops it up, then you're able to disengage from right here. You also have very nice carriage system right there, sort of like a Molly compatible style thing, but also have plenty of lashing points all over the place. So very solid system off top. In order to take it out, just like that. And what you have here is something that is honestly pretty ridiculous. Also, everything on this is sharpened. So right here is all sharpened, very much so. On the actual head itself, on the top, hooks down over here to that kind of a reverse Tonto style piece, and then sharpens down here as well. Right here is not sharpened, but it is ground, so it's like sharp-ish, just not a full sharp. And it goes down into relatively thick blade stock, into very, very nicely contoured micarta. Now, honestly, this video was not planned. I just happened to see this thing sitting there, and I was like, I'm going to talk about this. So the make, the model will be in the actual description as well as on the actual thumbnail and everything else. But off the top of my head, I forgot what the hell this is. What it is fucking cool though. So primarily, I am a thrower. I definitely do light bushcrafting and everything else. Nothing too particularly heavy though. I'm not going to lie to y'all. But like, I'm out there in the woods just going ha for hours. That'd be a lie. I mostly throw this at my shed, which I put like a big ass, like freaking another piece of wood on that, and then, type that in, and then freaking spray paint some targets on it, like really kind of hillbilly shit. But as a thrower, I freaking love this damn thing. As a weapon, if you happen to want to use this as a weapon, though, you can literally poke someone with that and like just lacerate and gash and just really, really hurt someone. So if you want this as a weapon, then it's not what I use it for, but like in theory, this would be pretty damn nasty. But as an actual thrower, it is actually balanced really, really well. It is a little bottom heavy right here because this is very thick actual steel right here. So you have to kind of overcompensate a little bit, cock a little further, release a little bit earlier. But once you take that into consideration, it actually throws really, and I mean really well. This is not a cheap Tomahawk. I almost wish I didn't love throwing it so much because eventually it's going to break or hit a rock or something's going to happen to it at some point in time, right? It hasn't yet, but my luck's going to run out at some point in time. But I just love the way this thing throws, and honestly, nothing I have throws like it. I have an old beat-up ass RMJ Shrike. I have a Tor Bocker, I think is what it's called, the larger Tomahawk they have. I got some throwing hawks from freaking SOG and some Gerber shit that's kind of garbage. A few other customs. I have a lot of different hawks, right? I probably have maybe like, I don't know, like 35 or 40 total. But throwing wise, like, man, it's either between this or the Bocker. The Tor Bocker is a fantastic thrower, but it looks kind of ridiculous. And this looks just freaking badass. It's also a great user. Now, recently, probably like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 months ago, it's not that recent, I was out in the actual woods, and I was actually using this thing. And I was really impressed with how it actually performed. Now, normally speaking, I want my thumb to be up here, my hand to be up here, to be able to do like, working and everything else. This is sharpened This didn't cut me, but like I can feel the edge really pronounced here. Put a little bit more force on that, I'm gonna bleed. So it felt a little weird not being able to do that. But to be clear, this being sharpened is an option. You don't have to have it sharpened. But doing it from right here, kind of wrapping my finger around right here, this top piece, I'm actually still able to exercise a lot of force, a lot of control, which I really like. It's also a relatively long hawk, so you're able to get this nice two-handed grip and really be able to put a lot of different force, be able to split wood and materials, all sorts of different types of stuff, right? Different types of stuff, cannot talk. The actual spike right here, because it's kind of this like reverse Tonto thing, it punctures really, and I mean really well, but it also is really easy to get out. Now, most of your cheaper hawks, not properly thoroughly designed hawks, whenever you throw them and using that spike, it goes in just fine. But you gotta like pry and move shit around. You're always afraid it's gonna break. And I've broken quite a few spikes in my life as well. But this is not only reinforced, it's definitely thicker steel, but because it has that kind of like reverse Tonto style to it, you're able to just lift up and pull, and that's it. Comes out super, super clean. Now, in contrast to that, this bit right here, head, whatever you want to call it, this is nasty. When I throw this, this digs so deep into the wood that every single time I have to be mindful of this piece right here, because this is very, very sharp up top. I have to go in, grab right here, do a slight little wiggle, take my hand right there, and pry it out. No other hawk I have goes that deep. Now, mind you, this isn't even that sharp. This is very much for splitting. But just the actual geometry of how it all comes together, my gods, this thing goes so deep. Okay, so true story, right? I was out in the woods and I basically took a chainsaw, cut apart a tree, made like, bigger, thicker target or whatever, nothing too crazy, again, very kind of jury rigged. And I had my buddy, who is a pretty, a big dude. He's not as tall as I am. He's a freaking yoked ass guy. And he freaking took this and then threw it, and it literally embedded to this freaking ring. Now, to those of you that throw hawks and everything else, you'll understand how ridiculous that is, that it literally embedded into wood. Like, what's this, like, not 2 inches? That is absurd. And it was a pain in the ass to get out. So, yes, it's my favorite thrower, but if you're going to be like doing this for competition wise or just like doing it on a regular basis, be aware, like, it's going to go into that wood very, very deep. And it's a pain in the ass to get out. Like, it is a genuine pain in the ass. The spike comes out like nothing. Perfect. This head, I think, is designed to go in people and not wood because, man, in a body, I mean, I'm just guessing here, but like I have to imagine that would be very, very, very nasty. But again, as far as processing wood, making feathering sticks, doing throwing and everything else, I love it. Ergonomic wise, I use this entirely without gloves for about 3 hours, right? Of just really processing and building the shelter. And I had no hot spots. I had no blisters. Now, people that use tomahawks or axes without gloves on for long periods of time, if you're like, oh, hey, you got a blister, yeah, what the fuck do you think? They're not designed for that. They're meant to lock in your actual hand, so you're supposed to wear gloves. A couple swipes here and there are fine. But for the most part, you're meant to wear gloves. I just happened to forget them this time. This is a total accident. But I was using it just like this. And then we're talking about big, heavy ass swings, splitting some pretty thick boards and woods and everything else. And nothing. No hot spots. No blisters. The actual design of it, it does carry shock, pretty hard. So my bones kind of hurt after a while from going at it. But it's kind of not designed for stuff like that, so I sort of understand. But ergonomically wise, just pure ergonomics, absolute perfection. As far as that impact absorption or whatever, I'd probably go with maybe an RMJ Shrike. Those pretty much have no impact. I've sat there and crushed cars with that, you know, not crushed, but like hit cars and like pieces of metal and everything else with no vibrations at all. This vibrates pretty bad. So that's not great, but everything else about this hawk is absolutely fantastic. Again, forgot the name, forgot the maker. This is not a planned video at all, but that will be in the description as well as in the actual thumbnail and the title of the actual video. But they did an amazing job. This is a custom piece. Retails for, you know, between like $500 and $700, which for the higher end hawks like RMJs and everything else, that's, you know, that's par for the course. That's not a bad price. It's definitely on the higher end. So if you can't afford that, you know, I get it. Save up for a little bit. It's definitely worth it. But I mean, it is, you know, a little pricier for most folks. But if you are into the higher end hawks, this thing is just, it's badass. As far as using, my favorite, period. I very rarely spend hours just chopping wood. I just happen to be like one-time thing or whatever. Normally like 10, 20 minutes. For that, the vibration doesn't bother me really. The ergonomics are perfect. The way it fucking goes through material is fantastic. When your goal is to be able to hit a piece of wood and go all the way through it, split it cleanly, perfect. Now, if you have a big, thick, you know, freaking, you know, trunk or whatever you're throwing into, it's going to go in that trunk very, very deeply. It's a pain in the ass to get out. But if you're actually taking like a reasonable piece of wood, you're trying to split that wood, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I love it. Now, as far as a overall score, through a little bit of hard use, nothing crazy, and a whole lot of throwing, this is a 10. I love it. I absolutely love it. If I could go back in time, I would get this piece not sharpened. This whole thing will be a little thicker overall. So it would just feel a little better in actual hand. I would also get to this piece right here, not sharpened. You know, self-defense wise, that's great. You know, more edges are better for the most part. But for my use, I'm almost afraid of this thing. Let's be honest. You're not almost. I'm afraid of this. Whenever it goes in, I'm always very careful with how I actually hold it and everything else when I'm prying it out. You know, and that's not ideal. I want to be able to just fucking grab it, take it, pry it, and go. So not ideal, but you know, the sharpening everywhere is an option. So you don't have to have that by any means. This just went in my couch. My girl's gonna be mad. Oh shit. But again, as far as a review score, hard use, little bit score, thrower score, everything else, you know, amazing. 10. Let's give it a 9.5 because of the vibration, just to be completely fair, because that it's not ideal. Everything else though, absolutely amazing. I love it. Maker, I forgot your name. Sorry, dude. But did a great job. I love it. I will definitely grab more in the future. But as always, folks, I love you all. Please take care and goodbye.